Mr. Henry Kwek.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of the bill. It is important to note that this is not the first time the law enforcement agencies have been given special powers to deal with security issues. The POPA was enacted in 1958 to provide the police with the special powers to deal with large-scale communal riots, which was the key threat to Singapore then. However, much of the powers in the Act are no longer adequate to deal with today's threats. The threat of terrorism comes in multiple and complex ways, which require swift and decisive action from our law enforcement and security agencies. Therefore, it is necessary for our agencies to be equipped with the necessary powers to deal with the changing threats. As such, I support the bill that is designed to protect our safety and security. I would like to speak on a few issues. First, to justify the broad measures, I'm glad that the Minister has given several examples from recent terrorist attacks highlighting why the current laws are inadequate to deal with this, and that's why a broad-based measure like this is necessary. My next point is, when the broad-based law is in place, sound and reasonable judgment by our law enforcement officers is needed. And these judgments within any enforcement agencies are enforced through internal guidelines. I recognize that it may not serve our interest to publish internal guidelines, which could be potentially exploited by terrorists. Nevertheless, I'm heartened that the government has articulated the broad principles that govern these internal guidelines, especially on the application of lethal force, the two-tier unlocking process of the powers in the law, and the need by the Commissioner to unlock individual powers based on the needs. The needs to articulate these principles were originally a concern for me, and I wanted to flag them out in my speech today. I'm glad that the Minister has provided a clear explanation of these broad principles. Next, I would like to touch on the issue of limiting communications in the event of a terrorist incident. It makes sense not to have information posted online through public or open channels, be it social media or mainstream media. And I appreciate Second Minister of Home Affairs for clarifying that the victims of terrorist attacks are not prohibited from sending information to security agencies of their situation. But I would like the Minister to clarify whether sharing with friends and families on close networks is also forbidden. Perhaps not video, but text messages indicating that there's an attack and please stay away. During a crisis, we all want to make sure that our immediate loved ones are safe and stay out of any possible danger zones. So a flurry of messages within closed networks can be expected. Some will also argue that if this information does not spill over to the public network or to the social media, the risk of the terrorists getting wind of useful information is also quite limited. Lastly, I hope the government can invest in more effort to share this aspect of the law with our people. Perhaps we can remind people on the onset of any serious terrorist incident that such a law is in place and the communication limitation is also in place. And this is because while a limitation of communication is necessary, this provision goes against the initial instinct that many people have to share such information with their loved ones in times of crisis. With that, I support the bill. Thank you.